Whether you're a landlord or a tenant, if you are leasing commercial real estate, the build out process is very important, and delivery conditions are as well. You need to know exactly what kind of condition the space is going to be delivered in. Commercial real estate can be delivered to a tenant in a variety of conditions. The condition that a space is delivered in is classified by the amount of improvements and amenities a space has prior to being leased. For example, gray shells or cold dark shells are spaces without electrical, HVAC, restrooms, elevators, etc. It's essentially a blank canvas. Think about that, right? Cold, dark shell. Cold, there's no HVAC. Dark, there's no lighting. And shell is just a shell of a space. The build out for such spaces can be costly and may prolong the grand opening of a tenant's business in that space. But there are also other shell space conditions. Commercial properties can also be delivered as a vanilla shell, which is also known as white box condition or warm shells. I know it's confusing. There's tons of different words for it, but just bear with us. So let's talk about this vanilla box finish. Think of a vanilla shell as a scoop of vanilla ice cream from an ice cream parlor. It's ready to eat, but it needs sprinkles, a little chocolate syrup, and whipped cream to be complete. Here's a list of improvements that you can expect to be present in a space that is delivered as a vanilla shell. HVAC and maybe ductwork, finished ceiling or a drop ceiling, lighting, finished restrooms, and likely elevators. A space delivered as a vanilla shell is almost the opposite of a cold dark shell. It's almost move-in ready, as they typically have almost all of the amenities to do so, besides the tenant-specific features like their flooring or their paint and logos. So what makes a vanilla shell so sweet? Well, build-out time. One of the most attractive features of a vanilla shell is that the timeline of the build-out is significantly shorter than leasing a space in any other condition. As I'm sure you guessed, this is because most vanilla shells only need paint and tenant-specific finishes. Thus, there is generally less work to do during the build-out process, unless the tenant's business requires a heavily customized space. Maybe you need new offices, maybe you want to add a conference room or build out a kitchen, but that's very tenant-specific. Build-out costs. A big factor in deciding which commercial space to choose is the cost associated with outfitting that space to suit your needs. This is what makes the vanilla shell lease so desirable. Along with a shorter build-out time, they also have a lower build-out cost. Now, the reasoning behind the lower build-out cost compared to other lease delivery conditions is the same reason why the build-out period is usually shorter. The space has many of the finishes needed to be move-in ready. Keep in mind, though, that typically, since the landlord has spent more money on the space, they'll likely be renting it to you for a higher rate. Location. Vanilla shells are the most common type of delivery for a commercial lease. You can find them in every area of your city, in contrast to cold dark shells, which are mostly found in prime locations and new construction. So why would you want a vanilla shell? Well, timing and your budget are key metrics to take into account when deciding on whether to go with a vanilla shell lease. If you're not willing to spend a lot of upfront costs in comparison to a cold dark shell, then a vanilla shell is the lease for you. Also, if you're not looking to spend a lot of time on build out, or you just don't even want to deal with a build out, you need a vanilla shell lease. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the not so sweet part about the vanilla shell lease is that the rent rate will tend to be higher than other delivery options. This justifies the cost that the landlord incurs when making the space a warm vanilla shell condition. But since you don't have to pay as much in upfront costs, it shouldn't be too much of a concern. Okay, so now that you know everything about warm vanilla shells, check out this video here on cold dark shells to see if that delivery condition may be right for you, and I'll see you there.